Welcome to the Self First Podcast. I'm your host, Amber Anderson, but you can just call me Coach A. This is a space for growth, healing, and wholeness, learning to love others, but not losing yourself. And here we are for the final episode of season 1 of the Self First Podcast. Y'all, it's been a journey. It's been fun. It was a decision that I chose to move forward in a snap of a finger with a vision that I've had for years. And I've loved it. I love the community we have created here with the Self First community. And I feel like we still have to find a name. Is it the Selfers? I don't know. Help me out. Maybe we don't need something grand and cheesy. Maybe we just need to be the Self First community. But I appreciate every single person that has tuned in week after week for themselves. It does feel like support for me, and I know some people truly are here to support me, but I hope along the way you realize that you don't show up for Amber. You're showing up each and every week for yourself, self first. And as we wrap up this season, it was my vision to wrap it up in the last day of the year. I thought it would have been a nice transition to last episode, last day of the year. However, when I recorded that episode, I wasn't feeling it. It didn't feel like a finale. It didn't feel like something to hold on to as you move forward into this new year. So I scratched it on the 31st. And here we are in this new year. I feel like it's important to focus on we are here versus the continual message of get ready. We are here. It is 2026. We are in this new year, and this is the last episode of the Self First Podcast, season 1. The message today is the promise that you keep to yourself. We've worked through a lot of things in this first season. We talked about boundaries. We talked about saying no. We talked about not losing yourself. And we talked about how to exist in relationships and communities with others as you are and not adjusting, not shrinking, not changing, not dishonoring yourself. We talked a lot. So as we have the message, as we've gotten ourselves in position for self first, as we kind of know like it really is important to choose myself so that I can be better for others, so that I can be better in the community that I exist in, so that I can be better in the goals that I'm seeking, that I'm striving for. So as we have wrapped up this season, but we're starting a new season of 2026, let's make sure we are honoring the promises that we're making to ourselves so that we can continue to be exactly who we need to be and can be in full fruition in the communities that we entertain and serve, in the families that we bring value to, in the home that we cover and love and lead others. Let's make sure we're first leading ourselves in our promises that we keep to ourselves. Season 1 taught me that sometimes putting yourself first doesn't look like finishing strong. Sometimes it looked like listening, adjusting, and letting yourself change direction without guilt, without shame. As you know, in the last few episodes of this season, I had to make some adjustments. I had to take a pause. I had to show up a day or so late. And it's just because I've been on a physical battle over here in my body. But I am keeping the promises that I've now made to myself that I got to take care of me. And this time off actually is lining up perfect. And this time off in the month or so that we will be off preparing for season 2, I will also be having an operation that I need to have to continue to show up physically in the way that I desire to, in the way that I should at the age that I am, and the way that my spirit wants to show up. So my very first promise that I'm keeping to myself in 2026 is to take care of my body so that I can continue to have a vessel here that is good and whole and able to do all the things that I can do at this big age of 38 and not be out here living like I'm 80 years old. So just got some physical elements that I got to take care of, but we're going to do that in this month of 2026. So that is how I'm opening up my new year, is commitment, committing to the things that I have promised myself so that I can continue to show up whole, healthy, and healed in the spaces that I desire to exist in, not just exist in, but strive in, to be great in, to be full in, and to bring value to. Because what better time than a new year to talk about the promises we make to ourselves and then to challenge ourselves to say, do we actually keep them? We just finished up the calendar year. I bet if you look back, you probably can think about some of the goals, some of the resolutions, some of the desires that you had at the beginning of 2025. And I bet, as you can now easily see, because you just finished it up, did you keep those promises to yourself? What is standing in the way of us keeping the promises that we make to ourselves? What is standing in the way of us following through and finishing the goals that we set for ourselves? We can adjust, we can take different routes, but did we finish in some way, shape, or form? A lot of times, the thing that's standing in the way is you. Is you putting others first? Is you taking care of everything else but yourself? I laugh right there because it sounds like I'm talking to me. But this year, I'm focusing on the promises. This year, I'm not making loud resolutions. I'm making promises that I intend to keep. We keep promises on our jobs, to our families, to our friends, to our teams. But the promises that we make to ourselves are usually the first ones we break, right? I'll rest when things slow down. I'll take care of myself after this season. I'll come back to myself later. And later never comes. So, what does that look like for you? Does that look like the times where you say yes to one more thing, even though your body says no? That's me. You cancel your own time of rest, but still show up exhausted for others, and you're answering those questions of, you okay? You tired? Everybody can see it, they can feel it, and you don't show up whole in those spaces. You don't show up as you in those spaces because you're battling between exhaustion and just being overwhelmed and overloaded when you should have just took the time to say, I'm going to rest, because that's the promise that I made to myself. And if I break it this time, it doesn't only affect me, but it does affect the other people that you are around. So the best thing that you can do for everybody is just take the time so that you can show up at another time for them in the way that you should show up, in the way that they desire you to show up. Let's look at it that way, because people aren't desiring pieces of you. They aren't desiring the exhausted, worn out part of you. They don't desire to get the short tempered, no patience side of you, because you haven't taken the time to keep the promise that you made to yourself that I'm going to rest this year when I need to rest. They want you. They desire the whole, they desire all the pieces of you. They desire you in all of your energy, in all of your fullness, in all of your goodness, in all of your joy. So just take the time. Just say, I can't today, but what about tomorrow? I can't today, but what about next week? Can we schedule this out? Can we put it on the calendar? Because I want to show up. I want to show up for you, because we pour and pour and pour into others and then wonder why we feel empty. Self first isn't about choosing you over others. It's about choosing yourself so you can stop abandoning yourself for people. I don't want to abandon myself. The same way that you don't want to abandon others, that should be the same desire and promise that you keep to yourself. I don't want to abandon myself. I have too much goodness inside of me to be selling the world short, because I'm not keeping the promises that I made to myself to take care of myself, to be whole, to be healed, to be rested, to be authentic. I promised myself in 2026 that I will keep the promises that I make to myself so that I can continue to show up whole in spaces that deserve all of me. This season of the Self First podcast wasn't all about fixing ourselves. It was about becoming aware. I know, because I've gotten some feedback from our listeners where it's like, man, I do need to put myself first. Man, I am maybe losing myself trying to show up and love others. I do lack boundaries when it comes to certain people in my life. You're now aware, and it's just not some magic fix, but awareness and adjustment is where we can start. I promised myself in 2026 that I will start saying no without explanation. I understand boundaries as protection and not punishment. I'm learning that rest is also productive. I know that self-work is internal before it is visible to others. There were even times in this season where I had to say no to something good, something that I wanted to experience, something that I wanted to show up for. But I had to say no because my body and my spirit couldn't handle it at that time. And that's okay, because all good things will still be good for me on the other side of my rest, on the other side of my no, because what's for me is for me. And if I'm not in position to receive, then sometimes it'll sit there and it'll wait, or sometimes it'll pass by and come back again. But if you can't carry it and handle it in the moment, then why waste a good thing? That's not failure. That's growth. That's understanding. That's maturing. What I've learned in season 1 is that awareness changes everything. Once you take the time to see yourself, you can't unsee what you need. I know you're experiencing that. I know this season has allowed you to see yourself, and it's changed everything. Awareness changes everything. You're starting to move a little different. You're starting to adjust. And people might think you moving funny, right? But you're moving in the promises that you need to keep to yourself so that you can continue to show up in your wholeness and in your fullness, which is truly the way. People don't realize it. They don't realize it when they claim you're acting funny, when they claim that you're different, when they claim that that doesn't feel fair. The truth of the matter is, when you start to get it, when you start to truly put self first, they're going to realize, man, what's she doing? I need to do that. What he got going on, man? He gonna figure that out. Practice self first in a way that people look at you and be like, I need to be able to do that. Be the example. So how are we gonna practice self first in 2026? I'm gonna do daily check-ins. We've talked about it before in another episode, but I'm gonna do daily check-ins with myself. It's necessary. It's a way of holding yourself accountable to the promises you make to yourself. The same way as if a promise that you make to yourself is to lose weight in this new year, and you do your weekly check-ins. I probably step on a scale about every day when I'm on a weight loss journey. It does help me see, okay, I'm not there yet. Okay, not much is happening. Or yes, is what I'm doing is working. Those same daily check-ins that you do with yourself, the way you check your bank account, the way you check on your people, the way you check your stocks. Look at your investments into yourself as your stocks that you're putting in to yourself. You're going to check that every day. If you got some money lined up somewhere that's supposed to grow or could decline in some type of way, you're going to check it every day. Your life is your investment. Let's do some daily check-ins. Ask yourself daily, how am I really? What do I need today? What can wait? It don't have to be crammed into today. What can wait? In 2026, we need to filter our yes. So it's one thing to say no, but then we need to filter the yes. Before I say yes to things, I'm going to ask myself, does this align with my capacity right now? Am I doing this from a space of love or obligation? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Filter your yeses. Decide, does this yes serve me? Does this yes speak for me? Does it speak from a place of love and value and support? Or does it speak from a place of obligation and feeling guilty? Before I say yes, I will think about, what does this yes mean for me and what does it mean for others? If it aligns with your heart and with your capacity, then say yes. But make sure you consider those things first. Sit with yourself weekly and say, what are my non-negotiables this week? Do I need to protect my rest? Do I need to protect my peace, my silence, my joy? This week, I will journal every day, non-negotiable. I'm going to sit down with myself in silence. My silence is a non-negotiable. I'm going to create space at least for 30 minutes each day just to sit in silence or prayer or journaling. What will be your weekly non-negotiables? They can change throughout the week, but sit with yourself and say, what is a non-negotiable this week? For me, I always start the new year off with a book, and this year I am starting it off with this book right here. Set boundaries, find peace, a guide to reclaim yourself. And I have some friends reading it with me. But what a non-negotiable for me on a weekly basis for this month of January will be to take an hour every day, sit down, read, so that I can get through this book, continue my journey of depositing guidance and tools in my life right here at the beginning of the new year. The last thing that I'm going to ask you to practice in 2026 is grace over guilt. This has been a big lesson for myself, but I'm starting to get it. You will miss days. You will fall off. You will have moments where you weren't able to show up, but returning matters more than perfection. Grace over guilt. I'm not going to sit in the guilt of feeling like I didn't show up in the way I was supposed to, but I'm going to pick myself up with grace and know that I still have another chance to show up even better, to show up in the way that I really desire to in the first place. Grace over guilt. Committing to yourself is committing to others. I know it sounds crazy, right? But I promise you, it's real. When you commit to yourself, then that is committing to others, because others want you. I've already said it. Others want you whole, and they want all the pieces of you, all of the goodness of you. So when you commit to yourself so that you can continue to keep yourself whole, make yourself whole, allow yourself to get back whole, then that is committing to others so that you can show up exactly how you desire to and exactly how they desire you to in their life. Because the truth of the matter is, when you show up depleted, you show up irritated. I don't even want you around. That ain't who I signed up for. When you show up exhausted, you react instead of respond. When you're empty, even your love feels heavy to others. I've seen it. I've experienced it with other people. They're drained, they're empty, and even sometimes being around is heavy on me. And it doesn't mean as a friend that I can't handle it. I just need you to know that it's okay for you to take a moment. Take a few moments so that you can fill your cup up so that our friends date or our home or on our job, we can experience the goodness of you and not the depleted side of you. It gets heavy. It's heavy for you and it's heavy for us. So we might as well just take a moment and figure out how to fill yourself up again so that we can all be light, so that we can all live in the fullness and joy in the experience of life. Self first doesn't make you less available. It makes you more present. I'd rather have you present than just have you here. Take the time. Taking care of yourself is how you show up whole for others. So as this episode comes to an end, as this season comes to an end, let's close with a commitment to ourselves. This year, I choose me, not over others, but for others. I choose to listen to my body. I choose to honor my limits. I choose to keep promises to myself because I'm worth the care that I give away so freely. I want to invite you to write down one promise that you're making to yourself this year. Not 5, not 6, 7, not 10. Just one. This is self first, and this is where we will begin. Quiet promises matter more than loud resolution. You cannot pour from an empty place and call it love. It's not fair. It's not fair to you, and it's absolutely not fair to others. Returning to yourself matters more than perfection. If you are a person that likes to journal, wants to get into the journaling practice, here's a few journal prompts that you can use as you continue to set the tone and set promises for yourself in 2026. What promise have I been breaking with myself? That's one prompt. Here's another one. Where am I overgiving at the expense of my well-being? What does self first look like in this season of my life? And here we are at the end of this episode. Thank you to my listeners, those that stayed, those that have been here week after week. Thank you. Those who share each and every episode, whether it is on your social media, whether it's sending it to certain people, thank you. Thank you. Those who have checked in when they see me take a pause, those who've given feedback and just let me know what the Self First podcast has been doing for them in their life. This is why. This is why I desire to continue to put the message out, whether it's 5 people that viewed the video or whether it was 500 people that viewed the video. I'm so glad I didn't quit when the numbers were discouraging, but that's the thing. Self First started because this was my promise that I made to myself. And I didn't quit in the quiet season. I continue to show up and I continue to trust that my follow through is going to manifest the things that I desire to come out of this platform. But even more than that, my follow through allowed me to connect with others through this screen, through this video, through this audio. And I hope that the message is clear that you are worth it, that you are worth your yes, and you are worth your no. And self first is a requirement. It is necessary. And it's the very thing that's standing between you and how you show up in the world. Thank you for letting me grow out loud. Thank you for letting me pause in moments. Thank you for letting me say, I couldn't do it. Thank you for letting me fall just to get back up again. Thank you for letting me be honest and raw and authentic in this season. And thank you in advance for honoring the time that we will have in between this season and our season 2. I promise you season 2 will be smoother. We will have a lot more guests because in that season, we're going to focus on wholeness and wellness, being well in our mind, our body, and our spirit. And we're going to have some experts that's going to come on to give us all that we need. And in season 2, we're going to be practical and we're going to do the work. So this is all I got. Season 1 of the Self First podcast has come to a close. In the month or so that we're off, I promise I am getting together some goodies, some merch, some tools that helps us continue to put ourselves first. I love you guys, and I'll see you when I see you. I might pop up here and there with some bonuses. I'm going to get what I need in this time off so that I can continue to show up and I can show up better for you guys as well in season 2. Have a good day.